want it to be known that this shirt says I woke up like this. It doesn't just say I woke. Like, I'm not just some person who only speaks out of the Urban Dictionary and doesn't know grammar. I woke, bro. Yeah. Anyway, that was a side throwaway thing that really has nothing to do with the video today. Has anyone else noticed that as you go through life, every single year seems to teach you a different life lesson, and it can almost be condensed to from January 1st one year to January 1st 365 days later. In that time span, you're learning the same thing over and over again. I learned so much junk about myself in 2017. Let's just talk about my flaws on the internet. It's been said a million times, and we all know that social media as a whole is fake. Like, when you look at someone's social media page, that's not their real life. It's a snapshot of what they're showing you. It's the highlights, the good points of what is a very normal life usually. And unfortunately, a lot of us know that up here, but we don't actually live that out, and we sometimes believe lies that then make us miserable later on. I was one of those people, especially when it came to relationships. As someone who was single until she was almost 20, I had 20 years to picture how I was going to date some guy and our lives were gonna rule. We were gonna be perfect together, and he was going to be perfect, and then he would make me perfect, and we'd have our perfect little life, and it would be a perfectly perfectness. And then I started dating David, and it was great, and it was everything I ever wanted, but there were still moments where I realized that for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, like, David is still encompassed under that all. And for some reason, I just never realized that when you date someone, they were going to still be included in that all. Not every single day is great, and sometimes you're in a bad mood, and sometimes they're in a bad mood, and sometimes bad things happen, and sometimes you get pimples. I just have a bunch of pimples today, and it's been making me sad, so, you know. My point is that I lied to myself, and I made my own situation worse because I believed the lie of social media relationships where everything is this magical grand gesture, and it's just not reality, guys. It's not reality. And you know what? Your relationship still can freaking rule without being perfect, and I needed to learn that. And to add to this, that's not the only lie I believed, because I've been going through my whole life thinking, wow, when I finally am in a relationship and I'm a girlfriend, I'm going to be the best girlfriend ever. I've never even held another guy's hand, really. I've never kissed anybody. I have no baggage. You can have baggage without being in a relationship before. Seriously, guys, boy do I have baggage that I never even knew I had, and God really showed me a lot of that this year, basically saying, okay, look, you gotta get all this stuff in order because you can't grow unless you take care of a lot of these things. One of my biggest problems, and this is what the video is about, friends. Thanks for sticking this long to find it. I am a what-iffer. And what being a what-iffer essentially means is that every situation, every experience, everything you're doing, you're always thinking somewhere in your head of the worst case scenario that could happen. Like, okay, this is great, but what if this? This is going really well, but what if this? I'm happy because of this, but what if this? And it's honestly exhausting, and it was so bad this year. It's been worse than it's ever been. To give you an example, when my sister and I were finally old enough to stay home alone while my mom went grocery shopping, the first time she ever left us alone by ourselves, she told us, I'll be home in 30 minutes, I'm just going to the grocery store and then I'll come right back. My 10-year-old self was completely fine for those first 30 minutes or so, but as soon as 31 minutes had gone by, I was at my living room window looking out at the driveway, sobbing my eyes out because I was convinced that she had died in a car crash somehow between my house and the grocery store. She was dead. There was no other explanation for why she would be a minute late, a whole minute late. Now, obviously, I'm better at dealing with it now than when I was 10. I'm not gonna be crying by a window now, but still, I'm definitely a what-iffer to this day, and especially if people are traveling and I'm not with them, if they're driving a long distance or if they're flying or something like that, I do get nervous and I do what if all the time. And the what ifs just crept up so much this past year, and the fear it instills in you is honestly crippling. Matthew 6:34, I believe, is the verse where it says, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And to me, what that's always said is, deal with what you have to deal with now, but stop worrying about other things, because that's what I do. I don't just worry about what I have to get done today. I worry about everything from between now and the next year away, like at every moment, and it's ridiculous. We can't live in fear. It's absolutely crippling, and we're so unproductive. I was so unproductive last year. I had such an unproductive year. I had so many big plans for the year. I let so many things go last year because I was living in fear, and I let that fear cripple me, and that's such a shame. And I'm so disappointed in myself for that. Now, I do have to have some grace and forgiveness with myself when it comes to these things because I come by them very honestly. I don't know if you know what a Myers-Briggs personality type is, but if you don't know, go Google it because I don't want to explain it. But essentially, my personality type is an ESFP, and in a book that my family owns, this is what it says about ESFPs. Given half a second to speculate, they can proceed to the worst possible conclusion. A mate or a guest, this is a British book, by the way, a mate or a guest. A mate or guest who is late for dinner is presumed, at a moment's reflection, to be killed en route. When the guest then shows up and offers a perfectly plausible excuse, it will be viewed with distrust and suspicion. The imagination of the ESFP tends to run wild if given half a chance. If this isn't me. Also, what just happened off camera in order to provide you with that example was that I had to FaceTime my friend Jen, who lives in the house that I used to live in Ottawa, because that book was in Ottawa, not here, so I had to get her to get it, and then find the page, and then take a picture of the page, and then send it to me so I could read that to you. Everyone give a round of applause for Jen. Jen, you the MVP. So yes, this all goes to say that I come by it honestly, but what ifing is just not fun, and it's just something I don't want to have in my life anymore in 2018, especially because, let's face it, I'm about to be a military wife, and if I'm always what ifing everything, I'm going to have a very miserable existence. And that's just the plain truth. If you're like me and you've had this happen to you before, or you also struggle with just thinking about bad situations instead of focusing on good situations, I just want to encourage us as we head into this new year that we have complete control over our thoughts, over our actions, and over what we dwell on. And if we don't want to have that negative, sad, terrifying, and just crippling fear in our life all the time, we don't have to do it. We don't have to do it to ourselves. No one is putting it on us. It's completely our choice. We all have different walks and we all have different struggles, but we can always encourage one another no matter what we're going through. And so if you have a goal in 2018 or something that you've decided that you want for this year and you feel comfortable sharing it, absolutely, I would say comment down below and we can all encourage each other as we head into this new year with the different things that we're dealing with, because I know that if this is something I'm struggling with, there's probably other things that other people are struggling with. I hope you guys enjoyed this first video of the year, and one more quick little thing before I go. I've been listening to the Greatest Showman soundtrack for the last week and just been gobsmacked by the perfection of it all, and I really want to see the movie now, but I'm scared that I've overhyped it because the song Never Enough is just, it's killing me, and it's amazing. It's so good. If you've seen the movie, please let me know if it's worth going to see or if I should just stay in my little bubble with the soundtrack of perfection that I've made for myself. That's all for today, folks, and as always, until the next time I see you guys, have a great life, don't be stupid or make bad decisions. Bye!